Welcome to our Tech Talk on electrification and boat connectivity. My name is Pernille Lalau, your Master of Ceremony. Welcome to METSTRADE TV. Well, and I'm so happy to be joined again by my co-host Ed Slack, editor of IBI. Ed, great having you. You're happy to be back?
I'm thrilled to be back. It's fantastic. Good to be on a day two of METS. It's been nice and busy.
And more and more people are hanging around the studio also.
I know people are looking through the windows, they're watching us now talking. It's a strange but uplifting experience.
Very good. And for our viewers, if you have any questions, you can send them to the chat at METSTRADE Connect, and of course we will answer them. So, Ed, electrification. The buzzwords right now in the marine industry. I mean, yeah, you want to talk already?
Well, the buzzwords, I mean, they are, along with sustainability, electrification, not just in the sort of propulsion systems, but also obviously in components on board and how they connect, and that connectivity is the key. How those components talk to each other, and also that connectivity from the boat to the shore using some sort of iCloud system, usually.
Yes.
But those are the two strands, and it's fascinating. It's an interesting time for the industry, and we're seeing some really exciting product coming through.
Definitely. I mean, it's another topic which is actually much larger than you might imagine right now. Yeah. That's coming to the marine leisure industry. So I think we should focus in our conversation on what does it mean, of course, for this industry.
What does it mean, and how we take advantage of it? And we've got two great speakers on today to tell us exactly that.
Well, please introduce them.
Well, we have
both online.
Both online. Unfortunately, they can't join us in the studio, so they're both online with us here today. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good to have you here. We have Knut Frostad, the CEO of Navico. Joining us, and we also have Tom de Winter, who's the president of Advanced Systems Group EMEA. Welcome, guys.
Thank you. Nice to see you.
Good to see you guys.
Wish we were there around the table.
Likewise.
Sometime we will be.
But it's good to have you in the room anyway.
Likewise.
Connectivity. We're told boats we want to escape. They're about escape. They're about isolation. Why do we need connectivity, and what's the advantages to our industry, and what can we do to sort of embrace this and harness this new phenomena? Knut, do you want to tell us what your thoughts?
Yeah, it's a paradox, isn't it? A lot of us we go boating to disconnect, and then now we're trying to connect. But I think, as you said in the introduction, you kind of have these different layers of connectivity, everything that is connected inside the boat, and then you have the connectivity to land, and then you have the connectivity with the actual owner or the captain or the boater, him or herself. So it's all different. It's all different use cases. I like to talk a lot about what are we actually trying to solve with our technology, rather than talking about connectivity as a technology, because the connectivity is there today. We can connect boats, we can make a lot of things accessible, but the purpose has to be a purpose. And I think for Navico, how we think about it, we kind of think that the main purpose is to simplify the journey for the customer, for the customer to have a simpler boating experience. Like, you don't have to have all these different devices to control the boat, all these different instruments. The interface is simpler, and also the customer service, how to operate the boat, how to know the boat is ready, how to plan your trip. It should be simpler, so you don't sort of rush into the boat and wonder, what am I going to do today? What is the weather going to do? We can actually help the customer a lot to have a better and simpler experience, and probably a safer experience, and a more reliable experience. But connectivity just for the sake of connectivity is not necessarily customer value. And I think we also have to discuss in the marine world the fact that we are moving towards a place where data integrity and data protection is becoming more and more important. So it's not given that we can just pull all the data of these boats everywhere and do what we want with it. That is also becoming a hot topic. But simplifying the boating experience is where we have landed and where we think we can make a big difference.
Well, on the other hand, I would say, gentlemen, we've been hearing a lot about a new generation coming now into the boating industry, the Tesla generation, as it's called. You were just stating, Knut, that actually connectivity, it doesn't really add up to the customer experience. On the other hand, there are many customers in the future that might want to have full connectivity in the other way, not between all the devices, but have connectivity online, being able to stream, download, upload, etc. That kind of connectivity would give extra customer satisfaction, wouldn't you say so?
No, absolutely, and I think one of the challenges there is that in the marine world still we are kind of having boats that are moving in and out of range. So they may be in a cell phone range, and then they may suddenly not be in a cell phone range with less and less bandwidth. 5G, which is the new network in Europe, is building out with actually less range than its predecessors. So that is another element, is that, you know, the kids of today, they are expecting to watch Netflix in the boat wherever they are. And that is still work in progress, I would say. For most of us, we are working on systems to ensure that we can have internet connection on board for all the entertainment you want and all the connectivity. So that's, I would say, almost a fourth leg of connectivity. It's like, you know, using the boat as an office or an entertainment platform.
Yeah, yeah.
But I just want to bring it back, you know, just to highlight the fact that we're talking about two different types of connectivity a little bit. We're talking about components, how they talk to each other, and how the consumer interacts with their boat.
Yeah, both. They're different elements.
They're different elements, and I just want to bring Ton in here because, you know, at ASG, you've got lots of components that you're getting to talk to each other, and I just want to explore a little bit about how the impact of that technology and what that could mean for boaters in the future.
Well, thank you, Ed. And indeed, that technology is out there, and what we see is that the average knowledge for simple systems is available in the market. But we also know the need from the younger users nowadays is getting more and more challenging. And when it then comes to more complex systems, so multiple connecting components on a boat, we see the OEM struggling with that. And to overcome that, they are looking for a total integrated system solution. So just not delivering individual components, but making sure they are connected and they are communicating to each other. And in that way, ASG is delivering a turnkey solutions. Just from the design phase up to the commissioning, and we do that via an ASG Connect business unit, which is around the globe available. And that helps the OEM to simplify the installation and configuration process for their boats. And on top of that, it drives the adoption of connectivity.
Yeah. Yeah, well, as Knut was just saying, Ton, connectivity just for the sake of connectivity doesn't really have any use. So what would you say, what is in that connectivity for the end user? Having their data harvested, will it be improved product performance, for example?
Yes, we believe it will improve the product performance with the data collection and the review, the analytics and diagnostics. We can see how they use the systems, how they perform with the systems during the use, and with that information you can improve the products and get it more fitted to the need of the end user.
But I mean, Tom brings up an interesting point as well, because it's not just the end user, it's not just the consumer we're talking about here, it's the boat builder, it's the OEM as well, and these systems have the potential to make building of boats simpler. You know, if everything's connected for them, installation time simpler, it cuts cost. And I guess, Ton, you could probably, you know, tell me more about this, but I guess it saves on hardware that's needed to connect all these systems in the past.
Yeah, especially with the digital networking nowadays, like the C-Zone, for instance, it's reduced significant time of installations and cabling, for instance. So there are options out there to make that much more easier than the traditional boat builders are using nowadays.
It's amazing how all these topics are so closely knitted together, because we talked about another one of those buzzwords, sustainability. And I was talking to Ray Marine earlier. They had the launch of their yacht sense, and it was one of the key things about the digital elements is cutting down the amount of wiring on boats and the amount of copper being used, and that adds to the weight on board a boat and the complexity of it all. So all of these topics are subtly intertwined.
Yes, of course they are. Yeah, of course. But Ton, what are the technical challenges then of connecting the components? I mean, Ed is just talking about also of the material that you have on board, but the technical challenges, what are they?
Well, first of all, it's the communication protocol, which if you buy all the products components from one brand, then that protocol is unified. But if you want to connect the multiple components from multiple brands, multiple suppliers, then you have a challenge to get the communications standardized. And I think that is one of the challenges of the industry nowadays.
Yeah.
So we are more or less forced to making system out of one brand or cooperating brands. And I think that's one of the things we have to overcome if we want to really conquer the marine world with the same technology all over.
I see you're nodding yes, Knut. What would you like to add?
No, the boat is a little bit like a house, right? And if you look at house building, you have a lot of components that are trying to talk to each other and make the house as smart as possible, but they come from different manufacturers, and the house builder may not be the one that has the same position as an automotive builder who kind of controls everything that goes into every car. So standardizing protocol is important, and also the user experience that we work on our screens with products from Tom and ASG is really, what is the experience the customer have of whether he switches on the fridge or the light or turns on the engine. It needs to be a sort of experience that you recognize across. And when we see that integration is moving very fast today. I mean, a lot of the boats we supply, we integrate with pretty much all the systems on board. It's complex, but it's becoming an expectation, and the future customers are used to a very simple screen in the car where everything happens on that screen, and they can push park mode or they can push highway mode, and then it changes the car into that configuration we need. So that's where we're heading.
One thing I'd like to put to the guys is, I mean, we talk about being connected, Our industry is so fragmented, it's so disconnected. You look at all of the brands around here, hundreds and hundreds of brands, all doing brilliant products, all doing little niche products, low volume niche products that are fantastic in their own field. How do we, as an industry, Knut, I mean, how do we come together? Do we need to collaborate more?
I think we need to collaborate more. I mean, we essentially, that's what we are doing now within Brunswick and ASG that we are part of, is that we are really starting to work longer term together, because it takes to make a really good customer experience. It takes time. And what I mean by that is that a lot of the integration work that happens in our industry today happens when someone has launched a product and they say, hey, Navico or Simra, can you please integrate with us? They say, yes, we would love to integrate, but we wish we knew 6 months ago when you started on that journey, so we can really create a technology roadmap together, so the whole journey is integrated. So I think that is the challenge, is to open up early enough in the product development period. So you can really, from the beginning, think, what does the customer want? How do we work together to create this amazing experience? So. But it's a challenge with the fragmentation, and I think today it happens a lot through the boat builders. So working with the boat builders with scale, that have significant scale, and then you kind of create a system that's standardized across then you can get some volume, and then you get best practices out of it.
Yeah. Well, what would you say, Tom? What would be the friction points in the technology and to eliminate also all this fragmented industry? What's your view on that?
I would wish I had the answer to that, but no. But certainly to Knut's point, working together closely from the start on, that's the current solution to that challenge. And you see that happening more and more, and scalable builders are doing that. And of course, within the Brunswick group, we have Sea Ray and Boston Whaler, for instance, which is more easy to combine, but that's where you see it happening. And of course, more boat builders are looking for that, and we are open for that. And I think that's not only us; that's for the whole industry.
Yeah.
They all see the need for this integration and cooperation.
I've asked the guys, is that changed in the last year or so, last 2 years? Do you see the OEMs coming to you more? Knut, you said they need to, you need to work with them earlier on in the process. Is that happening? Do you see real evidence of that in the last couple of years, say?
No, absolutely. We are working on dashboards for customers now that is like 2-3 year programs where we pretty much know already what we're going to interact with or create an interface for, whether it's the bow thruster or it's the gyro or the fridge or the air conditioner or what kind of engine. And the interesting thing is that through that integration process, suddenly you also lock yourself in a strategic decision very early. So you cannot just suddenly switch engines or suddenly switch fridge suppliers or air conditioner suppliers halfway through the journey. You need to really create a great system for what you have and not, and then maybe you need to open up for multiple choices. Yeah. But I like to add that we shouldn't underestimate the current supply chain crisis in the world, how that impacts also this process. Because what it means is that change becomes more painful. Like you have to have a very solid platform now going forward that you're confident that you can supply. If you want to supply anything and anyone, that might be very risky, right? And very difficult to achieve. So the boat builders today are really also looking to solidify their supply chain for the next 2 years, 3 years, which means that they're not going to just jump on any bandwagon right now to have a new cool product or a new cool integration. They need to really make sure that this both works and it can be supplied.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. We have a question in the chat, which is the industry ready to handle all the data? Yeah. It's a good one, I would say, Ed.
Well, we talked about, Knut touched on this, we're harvesting all this data.
Yeah.
Remote diagnostics are fantastic, potentially, but is the industry capable of processing the data and using it?
And also making it maybe getting it in a full report of all the different parts
we've touched
with
on
all the data coming in.
And we touched on it, the user journey's got to be seamless throughout,
definitely.
So I don't know, guys. Tom, is it ready? Can it be ready?
I don't think that the whole industry is ready. I think some players are. We have a backend team of about 25 people in Navico who works on the cloud and the backend system. But what I know is that if you go to the boat builders as such, if the boat builder wants to exploit the data to learn and service there's a lot of boat builders out there who don't have that capability, at least internally. So they will have to find it externally. And I think, in some cases, it will start in the cases where you have the biggest needs. So today already with our super-yacht customers, quite a few of our super-yacht customers, we have an integrated solution with connectivity where the yard can access the boat for service purposes. So they can basically dive into the boat, open up the systems from remotely and do a diagnosis to find if there's a problem, what is the problem, can we fix it remotely, etc. Very clear use case where it clearly makes sense and is financially sound to do it. If you look at smaller recreational boat builders, I think that very few of them actually have a significant IT department at all. So it's very big range in the industry on that one.
Yeah. And what about you, Tom?
Well, we launched last year, or actually this summer, our new CISO mobile platform. It's a new platform for the marine industry, which is actually allowing all the integrated partners to collect and to share the data of course, in first instance, to ease the journey of the end user. But certainly also to allow them to collect data via that platform to be able to do software updates or to be proactive in maintenance, messaging or service updates. So I think with that new platform, we gave them an opportunity to use that data in their benefit. Yeah. And I think that's the future which is ahead of us.
Yeah. Definitely, I would say.
But just bringing that back, because we talked about, Knut, you mentioned data and the data harvesting and the GDPR issues or challenges, maybe? Is that the best word, challenges? I mean, you see that as something we have to have in our minds a little bit?
Absolutely. I think if you go back 4 or 5 years, there was a lot of initiatives about developing data-driven technologies. For a very good example is that location data is something you have to ask for in most countries today. So if you want to use someone's location, you have to have consent from the end user. And a lot of the services that was developed early on in the marine world assume that you knew the boat's location. So if you had the boat's location, you could also offer a service platform that could service it where it was. And you can also learn more about how the boat is used. And that is not such a given thing anymore. If you look at your mobile phone today, you are asked every day, multiple times, allow location, and that's for GDPR reasons. So we will be impacted for sure, and that is clear. But for me, it's more about what is the service that needs that location, and what is the service we can offer. And I think back to what I said about superyachts, an obvious case is when you want to support the boat technically, with technical support and service, having access to the boat remotely is a huge benefit. It really, instead of having to send a service person across the world to go inside the boat to do something, you can actually today do a lot of diagnosis remotely. Whether it's the engine, whether it's the power management system, electronics, the fridge, climate systems, having access to that data is very valuable. And then you can open up when you need it, for example, rather than having it online all the time.
Interesting. Huh?
I think there's got to be, because just as you say about it can get annoying when you get on that those messages, can you allow, and there's a line that gets crossed, isn't there, when people are being asked for information all the time, that it becomes a little bit, you don't want to be connected all the time. You don't want to be, you feel you're being policed almost.
Well, so that's true. We actually, in daily life, we don't notice, but when you're out on your boat, you will.
So I think it's got to be a positive message, isn't it, guys? It's this whole connected thing. It's got to be positive. It's got to be what the positives it brings to the end user in having equipment looked after in a more in a cohesive way, in a preemptive way. Would you say, Knut?
No, absolutely. And boating is a classic, right? There are a lot of people who don't want to be connected and tracked. We have the same in fishing. We are pretty big in fishing, and we would love all the guys who are out there, or girls fishing, to share where they catch fish, but that's the last thing they want to do. They want to know where everyone else is catching fish, but they don't want to tell anyone where they caught their fish, right? So you have this dilemma here, which is an interesting one. But in general, if you can visualize the value, which I think, knowing that someone can really help you on board your boat if you have a technical problem, I think it's a very clear value. We see that on large boats, that then the captain and the owners are very open to sort of give access to the right personnel. What is becoming more questionable in the future is like opening up to everyone and everything without knowing what people do with my data. And obviously with a lot of the cars today that are connected, the reality is that the car manufacturers are collecting data almost without you knowing it, and that gap is becoming smaller and smaller until someday you have to say yes to everything or no.
Well, as long as it's serving, because as you were stating in the beginning, Knut, you said, well, if it's connectivity just for connectivity, it makes no sense. But if you start to get the idea and the reason for the connectivity, that you're safer, that you could do remote helping, then it would be worthwhile.
And that, I guess, maybe it's a generational thing as well, that young boaters, new boaters, maybe don't feel those concerns as much as someone of my age might do. So,
But yet we will all know from each other where the fish is.
Yeah, we'll all know. We'll all know. We'll ask Knut.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. It was really nice having you joined in.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, Ed, for being co-host again.
A pleasure.
We'll be together soon again on co-hosting. This was the Tech Talk about electrification and boat connectivity. I wish you a great day at your show. And for those of you who are watching via the METSTRADE Connect platform, I wish you a pleasant day full of connectivity. Please remember that the system allows you to make virtual appointments with exhibitors and, on the other hand, visitors at METSTRADE during and and after the show. And here in the TV studio, we will be back at 2 o'clock Amsterdam time with our next Tech Talk, which is on dry stack to the next level, organized by Marina World Magazine. Thank you again, Knut, Tom, Ed. Thank you for watching. See you soon.
Thank you.